Hi, everyone, and welcome to Insights in Caribbean Intellectual Property, the official podcast of the Caribbean and America's Intellectual Property Organization. I'm your host, Pete Manning, along with Shanna Joseph. Today's topic is the Inniss Institute, a new center for digital governance and intellectual property in the Caribbean and Global South. Okay, so here's something to think about. The Caribbean, a region known for its music, art, and culture, is now stepping into the digital age with a bold new approach to governance and intellectual property. Today, we're talking about how the Inniss Institute is changing the game for the Global South.
That's such an exciting shift to explore. The idea that a region like the Caribbean, which has historically been on the receiving end of global systems, is now creating its own frameworks for digital sovereignty, it's a big deal.
It really is. The Inniss Institute for Digital Policy and Intellectual Property, founded by Dr. Abiola Inniss, is tackling some of the most pressing challenges of our time. We're talking about AI governance, data sovereignty, cultural rights, and intellectual property reform, all through the lens of the Caribbean and the Global South. Let's talk a little bit about Dr. Inniss. Dr. Abiola Inniss is a leading scholar of Caribbean law, digital sovereignty, and intellectual property. The Institute provides governments, public institutions, and development agencies with specialized expertise at a moment when artificial intelligence, data extraction, and digital transformation are reshaping global power. She is also the founder and executive director of CAA-IPO. Her work spans almost 20 years in Caribbean IP, and she is widely regarded as the architect of Caribbean intellectual property.
That's truly an impressive accomplishment. And now she goes even further to establish the Inniss Institute for Digital Policy and Intellectual Property. What's so striking to me is how much this goes beyond just policy. It's about reclaiming control, right? It's about saying, we're not just going to adopt systems designed elsewhere, we're going to create our own that reflect who we are.
Exactly. And that's where the concept of sovereignty comes in. It's not just about owning data or technology, it's about deciding how those things are used, who benefits, and how they align with cultural and regional priorities. The Institute is saying, we're not just participants in the digital economy, we're leaders.
And that's such a powerful message. But let's break it down a bit. What are some of the specific areas the Institute is focusing on?
Well, one of their core areas is digital governance and sovereignty. They're helping governments navigate the risks and opportunities of the digital era. That includes everything from AI readiness to cybersecurity to modernizing public sector systems.
And it's not just about technology, is it? It's about creating policies and frameworks that are resilient and equitable and that actually work for the unique challenges and opportunities of the region.
Exactly. Then there's intellectual property and cultural rights, which is such a critical area for the Caribbean. This is a region where culture isn't just an economic asset, it's part of the identity. Music, art, literature, these are things that define the Caribbean, and they're incredibly vulnerable to exploitation.
That's such an important point. Weak IP enforcement, cultural appropriation, undervaluation of creative work, these are all issues that can have a huge impact, not just economically, but socially and culturally as well.
And the Institute is tackling those issues head on. They're not just protecting cultural assets, they're elevating them. They're saying, our culture is valuable and it deserves to be treated as such.
What about AI governance and data extraction? That's such a hot topic right now, and it feels like the Caribbean is often left out of those conversations.
That's where the Institute's frameworks, like the digital plantation and data nullius, come into play. The digital plantation draws a direct line between the historical exploitation of the Caribbean and the modern-day exploitation of its data and culture. It's a stark but incredibly useful way to frame these issues.
And data nullius builds on that, right? It's this idea that data from the global south is often treated as nobody's data, free for the taking by tech companies and other global powers. It's such a powerful challenge to the idea that data is this neutral, apolitical resource.
Exactly. And the Institute isn't just critiquing these systems. They're creating alternatives. They're developing tools and strategies to address the inequities in global AI systems, from algorithmic bias to cultural appropriation.
That's such a proactive approach. They're not just saying, here's what's wrong with AI. They're saying, here's how we can build systems that are fairer, more inclusive, and more just.
And finally, there's institutional capacity building. This is about training public officers, cultural institutions, and regional bodies to manage digital governance, IP systems, and emerging technologies. It's about building the expertise and infrastructure that the region needs to thrive.
And that's really the heart of it, isn't it? It's not just about creating policies or frameworks, it's about empowering people. It's about giving them the tools and knowledge they need to take control of their digital futures.
Let's talk about the services the Institute offers. They're providing policy and legislative advisory, institutional strategy, AI governance assessments, training, research, you name it. These are not one-size-fits-all solutions. They're tailored to the specific needs of governments, ministries, and organizations in the region.
And that's so important because the challenges that small states face in the digital era are not the same as those faced by larger, wealthier nations. The Institute is filling a critical gap by offering services that are both globally informed and locally relevant.
What I find so compelling about the Institute is its founding rationale. It was established in direct response to the unique vulnerabilities that small states face in the digital era: cultural appropriation, loss of data sovereignty, weak IP enforcement. These are not abstract issues. They're real, pressing challenges that require real, specific solutions.
And it's not just about addressing those challenges, it's about flipping the script. It's about saying, we're not just victims of these systems, we have the power to shape them, to create something better.
That's a powerful message, and it's one that's resonating far beyond the Caribbean. The Institute is part of a broader movement toward global South digital sovereignty. It's about recognizing that the rules of the digital economy should not be dictated by a handful of tech giants or wealthy nations.
And that's why the leadership of Dr. Abiola Inniss is so crucial. She's not just a scholar, she's a visionary. Her work has already shaped regional discourse on digital colonialism, cultural rights, and IP governance. The Institute is really an extension of her life's work.
And it's not just about her. The Institute is collaborating with a wide range of partners: government ministries, national IP offices, cultural institutions, regional bodies, development agencies, universities. It's a collective effort.
And that's what makes it so exciting. This isn't just a think tank or a policy shop, it's a hub for innovation, collaboration, and transformation. It's about building a future where the Caribbean and the Global South are not just participants in the digital economy, they're leaders.
I think that's a perfect note to end on. The Inniss Institute is a powerful reminder that digital transformation doesn't have to come at the expense of justice, culture, or sovereignty. It can, and should, be a force for good.
Absolutely. And if there's one takeaway from today's conversation, it's this. The future of digital governance and intellectual property is not something that happens to us. It's something we can shape together.
Well said. For advisory services, training, or collaboration inquiries, innissinstitute@gmail.com. Website, www.innissinstitute.org. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Insights in Caribbean Intellectual Property. Please follow us wherever you listen to this podcast so that we can let you know when there's a new episode. If you listen to us on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and share. See you next time.
Take care.